Camilo Beltran from Vida Jets. Camilo, we're gonna podcast will be in Spanglish, man. Why not?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
sure.
también para la gente latina, bro. You know, we met at the Vault. We hit it off, and your story kind of intrigued me. You know, I was like, you know what, I want to invite Camilo to the podcast. I want to hear a little bit more about Camilo and Vida Jets and how he started this venture. You know, it's a very prestige venture, and I just found it very interesting. So, Vida Jets, how did Vida Jets come about, and what inspired you to get into the jet chartering business?
All right. So Vida Jets, it hasn't been a life project. It's been something that came across from working in the industry. So I was before Vida Jets, I was working at another brokerage firm, and I went to Lynn University, and at Lynn we had to do like a school project for my last year of being in business, and I called it Vida Spa, Vida Boca, because it's a Boca Raton, so it's all inspired into the hospitality world, and having a luxurious spa, and it was. I don't know why I was into spas back in the day. I still love spas, but anyway, the everything came across with when I left that company, when I took the leap. I wanted to create something that was social media driven back in the day. That was 2012, 20, yeah, like 2012, and it. I decided to call it Vita Jets, and it was all about life and jets and luxury, and it's obviously the name remains, but the inspiration behind and all the meaning behind it has kind of like transformed. So the name's still the same, but throughout these years, 12 years, 13 years, it's been changing.
So the spa never got to fruition.
No, no, no,
Okay.
no. So the spa was just a project. The name came from Vita. Like I wanted to have something Latin in the mix, and what better word than Vita?
Life.
Life, life jets, life luxury. I had the experience of private aviation, and you asked me how did I come across and what made me get into private jets. Prior to Vita Jets, I worked at a brokerage firm out of Miami, and I've always wanted to do sales, and I wanted to be at the stock market or something. Like my dream was, having a sales floor full of guys like cold calling and fucking just being on the phone, and that was my dream just because I saw it in the movies. So I thought that's like the ultimate goal, and it's been, like I said, it's been changing. It's been having a transformation in a good way. So that's how everything started. Like I aimed to go to sales, brokerage. Then I went into like commodities. I
You
tapped into
traded
commodities.
commodities?
I was gonna get into trading commodities,
Oh
and then
wow.
I found something that really inspired me and intrigued me, which was the private aviation world, which was Blue Star Jets was the pioneer, and back in the day they used to sell like 200 million in charters,
Wow.
and I said, okay, I can do the brokerage side, but I can do it in something that I actually like, which is private jets. So I went into Blue Star Jets in Boca, and we ended up linking up with these people from Miami. We started working for like 4 years, and that's when I decided to take the leap and do my own thing, and it was amazing. It was really nice to take that leap.
In order for you to take that leap, I'm pretty sure you had to have built a lot of relationships, right?
Yeah, yeah, of course. Like,
Because I'm a strong believer of like in in life and in everything. Even if you're gonna, you know, dive into the world of entrepreneurship, it's all about relationships.
100%.
You know, when I left the dealership, you know, that I was working at, that's all I built was relationships. And once I left,
They were all with
I
you.
nurtured those relationships throughout those 12 years, and they've helped me to this day. So I'm pretty sure you were working at the company you were working at down in Miami or in Boca.
Blue Star, yeah.
Yeah, Blue Star. I'm pretty sure you were able to develop and nourish a lot of relationships that once you went on your own, it helped you.
Even when I worked I worked at the resort here in Boca. I worked at the Four Seasons as well, and I even I was able to call people from the resort when I got into aviation, and they would pick up and they would talk to me and, oh great, you're so the relationships that you built, yeah, of course they, if you know how to build them, right?
Correct.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you are in it to create that relationship, not to get everything out of it. Because when I created that relationship, I was serving, I was helping, I wasn't trying to get something from them. I was
It
just
wasn't
being there
just
for them.
transactional.
It wasn't transactional. It's like something that you just do, and eventually, either Gary Vee says, jab jab, and then you get a hook sometime. Um, that's when you actually make a transaction, but just because you like the other person, not because you're just in it for the transaction.
That's absolutely true. So these jets are these obviously, do you own these jets or these jets are owned by other people and they kind of reach out to you and say, hey, Camilo, I'm gonna have my jet sit out for some time. Let's make some money. Let's make it.
Right. So the forte of our business is strictly brokerage, which we have a network of 3,000 jets nationwide and 3,000 jets worldwide. So a total of 6,000 aircraft. And then, yes, we also assist with management. So if you have a jet, we'll get into the management side and we'll put it on a 135 certificate, and that allows you to charter it with an operator. But we're not operators, nor we own the jets. And then we also help, if you want to buy a jet, we can help you buy a jet. So the three things, and we talked that we met at the vault. So it's like building that ecosystem that relates with the business. So we have the Jet Traveler app, we have the management side, we have the acquisition, and then we have the brokerage side.
Oh wow.
So we have the three branches in total, and the Jet Traveler goes along with the with the charter side.
How has the industry? Oh, you're good. How has the industry changed in the past 5 years?
The industry itself, it's been like we had it the previous administration wasn't as far as acquiring the jets and the tax benefits were not that into the previous with Donald Trump, which was 100% depreciation. So it changed a little bit on the acquisition side. The demand was through the roof because of COVID. So it's been one of our best years that we've had
Wow.
since 2020. So these past 5 years have been great. And we saw the dip, and then we saw
The spike back up.
J effect. Yeah.
Wow.
So I think that COVID was a blessing for the aviation, private aviation side.
Would you say it's best to buy or just charter?
No, I think it's everything is based on it's not like a bathrobe. It's not a one size fits all type of thing. It depends on your needs. It depends if you need to fly 400 hours a year, then I'm not going to tell you to charter with us. I'm going to tell you, let's get a plane. And if you have the plane, down and you're not going to be flying for X amount of days, then what we do is we'll make sure that you offset the cost of having a private jet sitting there and charter it for a couple of hours. Good amount of hours,
Of course.
but I don't think it's a one size fits all. We have to make sure everything is tailored to whatever your needs are. So sometimes you need to charter, sometimes you need to buy, sometimes you need to lease a plane, sometimes depending on what type of operation you're going to be doing. So that's kind of like the aviation side is very like there's no perfect operation. There's like nothing is like you follow step 1, 2, 3. No, everything's like varied. Every operation is completely different than the previous one. We have a short hop from Boca to Nassau. I recently had one, for example, and there was more logistics behind that operation of a 45-minute flight versus a transatlantic from Miami to Dubai. So it really depends.
I see.
And we're talking like the people that fly private are the 1%. So everything their needs are completely different than the others. Like
They value time, I would say.
yeah,
I think they
100.
value time more than anything.
And I think that's a luxury that
Time
they
and
have.
security as well. I think, you know, they want to be they want to move fast, and that's what they value.
Yeah.
That's my, you know,
Well,
that's my belief.
The reason why we initially we had a name. It was called Vida Jets, world class altitudes, again because they wanted to be luxury. We had a little bit of a transformation and very slight transformation, and it's Vida Jets, time flies, and I think that the factor of time is everything in luxury and precision, punctuality. Time is just the most valuable asset that there is
That we all have.
in this world. Yeah.
So you would say that that's what sets Vida Jets apart from the competition is the fact that you guys value time. Is that
That's like
the selling point?
we
Is that your strongest?
that's really what we like to showcase more. That it's like a time machine, and we focus more on the time and making life easier for the clients than the competition. That's really what we focus on. We focus on time, and we don't care. Like sometimes we'll be higher than the competitors, but they know they don't have to waste time on knowing that they're going on a safe plane. The service is going to be excellent, and then again the price. Sometimes we're going to be very competitive, but sometimes we're just going to be a little bit higher than the competition. Just because we're not going for that volume. We're a boutique firm that we don't want to make sure like fly
Just anybody.
millions
Yeah.
of people. Like we're not just
You're not trying to be your own airline thing.
right.
You know, you just
Yeah,
want to.
we want to like focus very well on the experience. The little things is what I think that matters. Attention to detail, and I think that's what makes Vida Jets different than the competition.
I'm glad that you mentioned safety because I was at a flight. I was in a flight. It was an American Airlines. It was a commercial flight, and the lady that was sitting next to me, she was just tagging on. I guess she's one of those flight attendants, and she just got on the plane to just go to her destination because I guess that's the way they operate, right? If you work, they fly for free. So she was saying that she wouldn't fly private. Is what she tells me. I
Okay.
won't fly private because there's it's not as safe as commercial. What would you have to say about that? What do you think?
The statistics are completely different. Like the stats, I have to like go back to my sources, but it's safer to fly private than to drive a car. That we know for a fact. There's more accidents on the road than in the
Correct.
air. And as far as commercial versus private, private is a fraction of what commercial has. Like you see all the news lately.
That's true too, though. Yeah, I
That
guess you have to
see,
compare
like,
apples
Delta,
to apples.
but that didn't it just happen like not too long ago? Like I think yesterday, like one engine blew up.
Yeah, man. All these different
Delta,
things are coming about.
United, like they all have these issues, but
But do you think that all the issues were always there, and now all of a sudden they're trying to bring it to light?
Yeah, well, we have more attention in social media, and they go more viral, I guess. But again, the safest way to travel is private, I would think.
The reason why,
Like, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but I had this, when all these accidents happen, they would call to ask for a specific plane. So I had a client who's like, "All right, do you have the Predator ready?" I'm like, "Sure." Yeah, like, we'll have it. It's a hourly rate on that. It's like 13K, all in, right? All inclusive with all the taxes and everything. Um, but the plane takes off by itself. It flies by itself. And if you have an emergency or you have something that needs to happen, like the pilots have a heart attack or something, it lands by itself. Like it'll detect it. Like if you
that's the
don't,
Predator.
the Predator, it's 500 and 600.
Oh, look at that.
So you just press a button, it lands by itself.
That's crazy.
So you don't need you technically don't need the pilot. And I think we're evolving into, that in the next few years.
Do you think that they use the technology in aviation to cars? Like, for example, Formula One transitions into the vehicle. So all the advanced technology in Formula One transitions into the vehicles out on the road. And you think aviation has a big part as well? Because once you told me that, the first thing I thought about was Tesla.
As
As far as driving by itself, the plane flying by itself, landing by itself.
that, yeah, well, it'll take, well, I'm saying a good 2 decades, but the way we're evolving, I think it's gonna be faster than that. I think we're gonna see like autonomous flying pretty soon.
That's crazy.
We were talking
That's
about
crazy.
with the company recently, where like everything that people talk is AI, and there's actually like other stuff which is space travel. Not a lot of people. The news are out there about space travel, but it's a thing out there that space travel is happening soon. So so much shit happening, bro. But yeah, I think private aviation, it will keep evolving, and the apps are gonna get smarter. The prices are gonna get more affordable for people to fly. There will still, you know, cost you, but it will be more affordable.
There was there was this app when I was out in LA. I met he actually went
To the vault?
to Daniel G. No, he
Okay,
went to
okay.
Daniel G's thing. His name is oh my god, last name Prado. He was out there. I was at an event out there, and
Okay.
I met this gentleman. He was happened to be there at the same event, at Daniel G's event, and that you were at. And he told me about this app. I think is it Jet Setter? It's like this app that you basically you fly private, but you're you're with other people.
Okay.
You
Jet
know,
sharing, yeah.
yeah, something like that. Is
Yeah.
that something that you offer as well, or no? You're just
No,
more
no.
into private.
So we never like I never opened my door to that side of the business. Choose jet sharing. Back in 2012, that's when JetSmarter started. And JetSmarter was it was an amazing company. You pay like 10,000, 15,000. You would fly unlimited back and forth on a private jet, sharing it with people.
What's it called?
JetSmarter.
Maybe that's the word. I may have said the wrong.
No, it was like they had to sell on dollars, pennies on the dollar.
Oh, they sold.
They sold. They had to, and that was the thing. That's where I was gonna go. Like there was a moment where I said like it's not if they're gonna go bankrupt. It's when.
When?
And that's when it happened. Like people were starting to they started to change the terms and conditions, and you'd pay, let's say, get all the family involved, pay for 5 years. The app, you'd send a wire for 150K to fly unlimited, and then they would change it, and they would start charging you. But That's what happens when you like do those
And
kind of things.
because there's a couple of my friends that have flown like that. Devin flies like that now. He goes from here to Dallas, yeah, with different people. I forgot the
I
name
don't
of the
know.
company.
I
There's
don't
a
know.
company, dude. There's a company
Jet
out there.
Suite,
Is it Jet Suite?
JetX. JetX is you fly private. You fly at a fraction. Like I think last time I paid like $1,600 for a round trip to New York on a private jet, but it's a
But you're with other people.
It's a 50-seater, so it's not like the exact private jet experience, but it's great. Like you don't have to go through TSA and like different things. Like you just hop on a plane and
Yeah, people
you
take
go to the
advantage of that,
FBO.
and they also want to post it on social media. That, they're
Yeah,
walking towards the jet.
there's the industry has changed, has evolved, and
Social media has impacted it a lot, though.
yeah, yeah. We started in 2012, and that was one of the things one of the reasons why I decided to like take a leap was because my previous company, they didn't care about social media. I was the one who opened X. I was the one who opened Facebook. I was the one who opened, back in the day there was no Instagram. So when I took the leap, I started with Instagram mostly, and it was great. We have pretty interesting followers on Instagram. Just by creating content, they started following us, and we have a relationship, of course, and it's just great freaking operations, and just meeting those people. It's
Of course, man. And just imagine the relationships that you build as well, meeting these people.
yeah, yeah. Like the clients that I deal with, they're just amazing. Just on the phone with
That's crazy.
very important people on a daily basis, and it's just fun to like learn from them as well.
Of course.
And we go into like deep conversations, and yeah, I think it's just a blessing to be in this industry.
How was it just building it like this, to where it's at now? Was it a team or was it all yourself?
So
know-
it gets interesting. The way I started, man, obviously by myself, and then I brought family, um, because I thought it was the best move. And even though family is family, and I love my family, like we grew up together and we still have a great relationship. But there was a moment where I did a lot of deep work in me, and it wasn't the best formula for success.
Really?
So yeah, it was like getting closer to 2020, to the pandemic, and like right in that 2019, 2020, and they were working for me for like 8 years, and I value loyalty. I value people that work for me a lot. But whenever things are not working, and you just have to, call it quits. And but I didn't want that to happen because they were my family, they were my sisters, and I loved them to like with all my heart. And I think that was one of the hardest things that I've done in my life, which was firing my sisters. Actually, one sister I fired, the other one quit. But it was hard, man. It was a moment that I wanted to do a lot of deep work, and to like
Was the business struggling at the time?
no, it was more. I wanted to do an Ironman in Cozumel. Yeah, that's what it happened. And even though I had my physical coach, I had I wanted to have a separate coach, like for my mental stuff. So when I started working with her, I told her, "Listen, I want to work in. What do you want to do?" And then we started chatting. And she's like, "No, you really want to work in your business." And I said, "All right, cool. I'll work in my business, but then there's one thing I want to tell you is like I'm not gonna fire my sisters.
This is the mental coach.
This is the mental coach. Yeah, yeah. The physical stuff.
How did you go from her training you to this, to this?
She was a life coach.
Okay.
So she was gonna go deep into my life and see how she could tweak things to make me better in the mental side of an Ironman. And that's how life is. Like you start working on something and what the least amount of things that you think you're gonna have to work on, that's when you really have to work on. And that's how it started. I started, all right, let's work on this. And one thing I'm gonna tell, and she's been working with a lot of people. And she said after we finished the process, she said, that's like, you gave it away so easy, man. You make my work easy. And it was hard, man. It was one of the toughest things that I've done in my life. My family were my nuclear family is very like
Close.
very close. My mom didn't want to talk to me. My dad didn't want to talk to me. They thought like I was doing.
Are you the one in the family? Are you the guy that the family looks towards?
Yeah.
Okay. Same here.
I was.
And I work with family. I work with my brother and my dad.
Okay.
And my uncle.
Okay.
So like I'm hearing you and I want to see, but we do separate.
I was the black sheep at the beginning.
Oh, okay.
Black sheep. I was black sheep for sure. And then I became that guy. So
Awesome.
there was I was a crazy guy back in the day. So
You were young, bro.
yeah. I had a great time but I was that guy and founded the company, brought him on board. They would do very well with the company.
Did they look for the best interest of the company?
Consciously or unconsciously?
Okay.
I would say yes, but unconsciously, no.
Yeah.
Consciously, they would just, they would do the work and everything was fine, but they were not the right fit. They were not pushing with me. I was doing this. I was going to Tony Robbins, Joe Dispenza. I was going to Gary V's Vayner Media Congress, whatever, like events. So I was always trying to push the content creation. And I'd had a videographer back in the day, 2017, 2018, back in the day, before all this content stuff came out. And they didn't want to be part of it. There's videos that we go back in history and they're like, no, but you can't record me. So I would do like the meetings in the morning with all my guys and they were not part of it because they didn't want to be on camera.
Yeah, there's some people that want to be private, man. I had employees at my office that would come in.
That today?
Yeah,
like
yeah,
nowadays?
yeah. In my, they wanted. I would just walk into the office and just record.
Right.
But they would like, oh no, don't record me. I thought in the beginning it was like, okay, they're making it, cute, I guess, right? But no, they did not like it. I said, you know what? Before this elevates to another level, let me just stop. And I found it weird. We're just building content.
Stop
showing,
as in recording or stop with them?
No, just stop recording. I just stopped recording in general.
Okay.
Stuff at the office, because I don't know. It's you got to be careful nowadays, man.
Well, I'm talking like few years ago. Nowadays, I don't care. Like I'll make sure that
they sign a.
I'll make sure that it just goes with the culture, man. Nowadays, I was with Pipe and we were gonna do because I was gonna do some documentary and I'm getting married in September.
Oh, congrats, man.
Thank you. So I was gonna document my whole journey to the day of the I do.
Oh, nice.
And we went into this clinic and I told them we're gonna document, don't worry, and they didn't let us document the whole thing. And it was like blood work and transformation, like basic shit, man. But
some people feel weird.
Yeah. So
people feel weird about it.
I'm not saying that was the main thing. I'm saying that was. I'm giving you an
Yo, I
example
know.
of things that didn't correlate with the culture that I was trying to build, and it was killing me. It was kind of like being like, instead of going into the office like ready to like
Crush it.
crush it, you're like, you have wings that are ready to fly, and they're like with some weight, you can't flap them. So I saw it that way,
Yeah,
and
man.
but
It's
I
tough.
I did the process. Like, it wasn't like, get the fuck out, like, you don't work for me anymore. No, no, it was like more like, all right, let's work this, and let's create a process where I understand what I'm doing and where I'm coming from, and then how are they going to take it, and if, give them an opportunity as well as a trial, like, this is what I'm trying to do, but show that you can actually do something. And we ended up like calling it, taking the different routes, and it was one of the best things for the business.
Yeah, it's tough, man.
And again, I love my sisters. They're amazing at whatever they do, but not with what I was trying to build.
Yeah, it's tough, dude. I hope that I wouldn't want to be in a position like that. But me and my family, we kind of separate. We know what's work, and after work, we kind of separate, and we know that we're family.
And
But we all push towards the same
that's the
goal,
thing,
and
right?
I'm the boss. I'm the owner. But they check me. My brother checks me. My brother does all operations, and he keeps me in check, and I understand that. Same with me with him,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, and with my father as well. We all kind of keep each other in check, and we all know what the ultimate goal is for the business to succeed because we all depend on the business.
Right.
You know,
But after business, you still go to business, right? Like everything, like you'll have dinner.
we
And
all
then,
talk. Yeah, we all
okay,
talk,
okay,
but we
good.
try to disconnect.
Okay.
And I do it as well. I try to not really bring up work if I'm hanging out with my brother. But if it's already the weekend and it's about that time, like, oh man, hey, what we got going on?
That was
But
like,
I give him his space
I
too,
was the opposite. I was like talking about business the whole time, just because.
because it's normal for us.
Right.
It's normal for us, but you have to also understand that
Like, oh my God, you're gonna talk
you-
business again? Jesus.
exactly, dude, exactly. There's some people that are like you and me that they're just want they're talking about their business constantly,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's some that but I guess you find that with time as well, from what I was told, right? From close friends of mine that have been in business for a while, you have to somewhat separate and give some time as well to your family and your kids. You don't want to be.
Right, right. Yeah, no, that
There has to be
the
some kind
family.
of.
So the family side, I think I shifted that a lot with my little one. I have a 2 year old baby girl, and she's the love of my life. And when I'm with her, I can't do anything else. I'm with her, not because if I had the opportunity to get the phone, I would do it, but she doesn't let me.
Same here,
Like,
bro. Same here. Same here.
so
Because
so
it's that we're just programmed, and
right.
we obviously we depend on the business. It's our livelihood. It's our family's livelihood. So when work does call, you are gonna answer the phone.
100%.
It hurt.
And
It's like
that's
tough for me to
really what
not.
it makes me. I think that's what like people like to like call me, just because whenever like they call me,
You
I
answer.
answer the phone like on the spot. Like when a client calls me,
Of course.
when I get like random calls, I'm like, I know who
Same
to
here.
answer. But
Same here. Or I make sure I acknowledge the call. Like if I'm busy with the message, but I make sure I call them back or I respond back. I just never.
right,
I cannot just like ignore my calls, and I can't. I
no, no,
can't.
no, you can.
I
You can.
can't.
What's up? I'm a WhatsApp guy. I do more WhatsApp
Well, because
than
I'm pretty
text
sure
message.
you deal with a lot of people also in South America
Right.
and Central America
Yeah.
and international that.
We do a lot of international. We do a lot of South America. I'm Colombian, so I'll do a lot of like Latin America trips.
Yeah,
So,
a lot of people think that, it's here in the U.S., man, but there's so much money out there in the world.
oh yeah, no, it's ridiculous. Like what I don't my market is mostly Europe, Middle East, the U.S. and Latin America.
What's
I
your
don't do
strongest market?
the U.S. 100%.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh.
U.S. But we do trips everywhere. Like we'll do tours throughout the world. We'll do operations, road shows in Europe, and
How stressful is the job?
it is pretty stressful. I think that the stress is always going to be there. It's there's stress. Like there is stress. The difference is how stressful have you been able to like how have you been able to manage stress? I would think that's more of the question, right? Because there's every operation, like I said, is different, and people think that by getting on a private jet and landing is just easy, but there's so much moving parts on every single operation, from the catering, from the transportation, from the crew, from the permits for like the sometimes let's say in Colombia you have the permits from the FAA, but you don't have La DIAN, which is the tax people. If they're not there lined up with your flight, then what are you gonna do, right? So that's why we know like sometimes we've had like tours where the everything's perfect, everything goes well, but the freaking immigration agent forgot to stamp the artist's passport because they were so focused on the artist that they forgot to stamp it.
And now they just
So now,
delayed the whole.
so now, like, oh, you're exiting the country, but you never came in. So how do you get that into your ops procedures?
Wow.
How can you get a bag that when they got off the plane, they got into the cars, and one bag stayed on the plane? Like, how does that happen? How can you check for that? How can you put that into your operating procedure? It's hard.
And
Like,
it's happened probably.
oh yeah, yeah, and that's why I'm telling
Yeah,
you.
of course.
A lot of things happen, and and it's just
Because you want to control the whole situation from point A to point Z, but it's
and it's
just
so hard.
it's
Yeah.
hard because it's not you doing it. You're relying on other people.
We're not controlling the operation. So there's very little things that we can control, and that's what we're like really great at. And then the rest, we just have to, just make sure we monitor every single step, because operators, like, even though they're operators, like, they'll mess up. So we're there to cover them, and we're making sure that, oh, okay, you forgot to add this on the quote, you forgot to add the stop at the first point of entry to go to Mexico. Like, we know how to do better operations than some U.S. operators because they haven't been to these countries as much as we have. For Colombia, like, there's airports that open on certain times of the year with immigration, and we know exactly how to get the permits, or how sometimes there's no parking because it's a festival, like, and we do a lot of artists. So how can we get the plane there and park so we don't have to like reposition the plane somewhere else? And if the plane's staying for more than 48 hours, then we have to get a special permit. So there's
For it to stay.
for it to stay. Like, we have to do a temporary importation of the aircraft. It's a lot of, like I said, and if you forget and you don't know that that needs to happen, then you're fucked. And you got to get the plane out. It's gonna be now double the price of the charter, and we're talking
And that eats up to your cost.
no, no, the
Or that gets
client,
the
the
client?
client pay. Like, if we don't know what we're doing, then that has to, like, the client has to pay the price.
Oh wow.
So that's why I tell every single client, like, make sure you know who you're dealing with.
Because that's
Because
not your.
if that's her thing. Like, we make sure that everything's covered prior to the contract being signed. So if you are wanting to go to, I don't know, Coachella, and there's a special parking fees, and you get quoted, but they don't charge you the special parking fee for Coachella, then who's gonna pay for that? They're gonna call you and be like, Sam, like if you want this to happen, you gotta drop 20, 30K more. Or we don't have any parking, we have to take the plane back to base, and it's gonna cost you X amount more. So we make sure that everything is covered with the operations team.
When it comes to like pricing and what to charge, is it you just call the competition? How do you know exactly where your pricing is? Because I know for sure aviation and medical, the margins are just ridiculous.
That's what you think, that the margins are ridiculous. As far as ridiculously slim?
No, like big.
No, there's not, like, the margins. The people that make the most amount of money are the mechanics, I would think. But there's not, like, it's, we try to like keep a slim margin, just because, again, we're very competitive, but it's going from a 10 to 20 depending on the flight, but it's 10 to 20%. That's like the markup. If we're talking about, like,
Yeah,
numbers.
I guess I'm thinking about a friend of mine that owns a business that they do all the interior. They how can I say this? They basically like refurbish the interiors of commercial jets, private jets,
Okay,
all seating, whatever you may need. That's their niche,
right.
right? They're down here in Miami.
FXE or something. They do a lot of
QAI.
that. Okay, no.
QAI. They've been in business for over 20 years. And dude, I talked to my buddy and it's like, man, I'm in the wrong business, bro. Aviation, when it comes to
Right.
overhauling seats and you know, rearranging a whole plane and designing a whole plane on what the client wants, dude, that's big money, bro.
Okay.
That's big money. The margins are good.
Right.
The margins. So I was thinking that maybe it's the same in
No.
your field.
No, not really. No. They're not, margins are slim.
Yeah, my margins are small too, bro. In my business, we need volume. My business is we need volume.
Right. Like,
'Cause it's my business is labor intense.
restaurants make more. They have way bigger margins. Last time I was sitting with a client, they're like, "Really? Like, is that your margin?" And I'm said, "Yeah, that's our margin." And he knows, he noticed what kind of work we did, and sometimes is I'm not here to victimize myself about margins. I'm just saying, they're not as much
As
when
what people think it is.
people think that private aviation is like, oh my God, that company's making so much money. And yeah, we're like, revenue wise, we are. But as far as the margins goes, like, we try to keep them fair.
Somewhat decent, of course, because
Fair.
you also want to retain business as well. You want to be
Exactly.
competitive,
Right.
to all the other big companies that might be out there. Is this a business that you could sell?
Yeah.
You could scale it and sell it.
100%. Yeah, of course.
Is that why you have the app? You have an app.
I don't have any plans of selling right now. But yeah, the app would be a good technology side point to start the portfolio to sell, if I wanted to go that route. But I'm not trying to like pump anything right now.
Where do you see Vida Jets at in the next 5 years?
So I see a lot of work on sales and acquisitions. I think it's gonna be on that side of the business.
What do you mean by acquisitions?
Selling and buying planes,
Oh, okay.
rather than the actual charters. The actual
Okay.
charters are gonna be there. It's like a bread and butter that we have. But I think it's gonna be more on that side of not creating a fleet, but we're not interested on operating the planes. We're not. That's I know what's behind it, and nothing against that side. I respect that a lot because at the end of the day, they're the ones that um, do all of our operations. But it's a
More intense.
well, the FAA, man, it's just there, and you have to be very meticulous with all the paperwork. Like, I don't want that brain damage.
So you would
there's more to
say,
it.
it'll be best. It'll be best to just find clients, find them the jet that they may want, and help them charter if they buy. That's where you would see the business going.
No, I see, like, yes. So I see that the demand for private aviation is going to skyrocket. There's going to be more private jet travel. So the charter side is going to still be the same. We're just going to grow that side of the business. But what I see in the next 5 years is going to be more acquisition side from the existing clients that will graduate to buying a private jet rather than chartering. And then there's going to
I
be more
see.
people chartering. And the people that are probably flying first class, they're going to start noticing that they can afford. There's going to be the wealth is going to just go into that side of,
I see
of
what
the
you mean.
business.
I see what you mean now.
And I've seen it with some clients that, they started flying on a prop, then they went on a mid-size, then they went on a heavy, and then they want to buy a plane.
Getting finance for a jet like that, is it like buying a house or how is I don't know. I might be asking stupid questions,
No,
man.
no, no,
I
no,
don't know.
no.
You know.
So the financing, it's completely different, and you have to go through the process, and not everybody buys a jet, so they have to have the wealth of for buying a private jet, and if you're good with the
Is the
banking side.
financing easy? Or like let's say for example, can you make it if you can make it a business out of it? Like for example, let's take homes, right? There's people that buy these houses or buy these multi-family homes, but the bank lends them the money because it's already a business. There's gonna be people living in it. It's gonna they're gonna rent it out, and the financing is a lot easier because it's a business that's generating money. Can you do the same with jets? Can you buy a jet already knowing that okay, I'm going to use it and I'm going to charter, and the financing is going to be easier
Yeah,
for you
yeah, of
because you're
course.
showing proof to the lender that hey, you know, not only am I using it personal, but at the same time it's going to pay
Right, it's
itself
going to
off.
be on this certificate. It's going to
Correct.
generate X amount of money. The plane has to be a X amount of years young because
That's another thing too.
they're
Yeah.
not going to go and finance old aircraft. Has to be 10 years, 20 years or newer.
Okay.
So yeah, it's there's the financing side. It's another conversation, but yes, of course.
Okay.
Putting it on a certificate, it will help you a lot. But people think that they're gonna make money. You're not gonna make money. If it's not your business, you're just gonna offset the cost.
Correct. It's just to offset the cost of you owning it.
Like
It
the
just
yachts.
being part. Exactly, just like the yachts.
But yeah, yachts. I don't even.
Surprised you
know.
didn't get into that.
Well, so that was one thing that I actually wanted to do. I wanted to get into yachts. I wanted to get into exotic cars. We ended up doing a DBA for an exotic car rental, and we ended up chartering some yachts under Vida Yachts. It was Vida Jets, Vida Yachts, Vida Exotics, back in the day, and um, and then I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, why do I
We
want to?
just find one niche.
Well, I had the niche, but I didn't. I wasn't content. I thought that I had to branch off. I had to make a name, and it comes with I guess the years and the experience that it's not about the name. It's not about the material thing. Even though I'm in this luxury world of private aviation and yachts and cars and luxury and all the events that I used to go because I used to like network a lot, man. Go to these events and see all these people, meet all these people, and everything transformed. All my vision, all my like my beliefs that I had were completely destroyed and revamped, I would think. Not even revamped. It was like regenerated from zero. And that's really the like I think that's the formula for where I am right now. Because at the end of the day, like private aviation, it's just a vehicle for me to be here, but there's so much more. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Private aviation. Like there's so much more in life than just business, right?
Of course.
So I think that, working on yourself is the most valuable thing you can do in life. Working deep in yourself. But once you work deep in yourself, whatever happens around, like the company itself, it's just a reflection of what you're doing inside.
So you think that life coach helped you out tremendously?
Well, she was part of the process, and then I stopped my she entered my life in a cycle where I had to like close that chapter, and then she vanished out of my coaching life, I would think. She was there at that moment, and then I kept on doing my work. I kept on doing the work that I that I knew I like have to do, which is work on me, work on myself, work on my fears, my demons, my everything. And I started getting into meditation. I was very strict with my diets, my exercising. I was so focused on the material stuff and the physical stuff. And I was forgetting about the energy work, that everything is energy. And and from that moment when I started working on energy side of understanding that this world is just pure energy, that's when I, took myself to another level.
Huh.
And then I started doing Joe Dispenza, meditating.
Are you a religious person?
I grew up as Catholic, and
Like most Colombians.
yeah, and then my religion beliefs also disappeared. I believe that there's a higher power. I believe that um, it's a nice conversation because I still pray. I still like believe in Jesus. Like Jesus is my master, but I'm not religious. I think that religion took me again to a point of my life where I kind of like again I close the chapter, close the subject, and there's more unsaid truths about life. And I
What?
think, go ahead.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
I think that religion is, yeah, it's just going to take you to a place where the faith will get you to a place. But then there's more than that. And that connection with God doesn't have to be through church, it just has to be through you.
With you. I agree with you on that. So people are drifting or what, bro?
They're doing donuts.
This is right here in the that's crazy. So what is it? Is it a car?
A Honda. No.
But I don't know, man. Like for me, when you
Oh,
oh, I gotta see this. I gotta see this, bro. What did he hit?
she got bored, bro. Like, what the hell is she doing?
Dude, I don't know, dude. Okay, now I'm going home.
Keep paying on, bro. She's probably so embarrassed.
Oh my god, we're gonna have to edit this thing out, bro. But this is crazy, bro. What is this? Going back to religion, bro.
Right.
Man, when you start this entrepreneur journey, right? A lot of people don't believe in you. You have to believe in yourself.
Right.
And you talk to yourself a lot. But you also talk to God.
Right.
And you ask him for guidance, for wisdom, for patience, for everything. I understand your aspect in the sense that, yeah, you don't need to, and I agree with you, you don't need to be part of a community of a church and all this to be aligned with, you could pray in your house. You could read, if you read the Bible, But I would say to me, having faith helped me a lot. It helped me a lot, But then again, you do listen to a lot of things online, and you're like, man, you don't know, are we misinformed of everything? I do believe that, yes, everything is energy. Everything is energy as well. You could walk into a room and you could feel if the energy is off or not. I don't know about you. We have a friend in common, right? His name is Mark Anthony. And that guy his name is Mark Anthony. Mark Anthony Salvat. Yeah. He's the one that introduced me to him.
Okay.
And this guy, as soon as he walks in through the door, you feel the energy. Am I right? Or
No, for sure.
You feel the energy. You feel his presence. It's something crazy. I tell him all the time. I was like, dude. And when we hang out, I'm like, I leave out of that meeting with so much energy. Like the energy is transferred to me, and you leave, and you're like, dude, I want to take over the world, kind of feeling.
Right.
So I do agree with you in the sense that, yeah, everything is energy. I don't know if you want to dive into it a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I'm a little bit intrigued now.
Yeah. Of course. So like, as far as the religion,
this podcast is going all over the place, by the way, bro. Which I like. I like this, bro. I like this.
I like that it. You understand that there was a trajectory, like as far as when it came to the religion side. I grew up, and every time I was in trouble, I would say, like, God, please help me, right?
Correct.
So I grew up, and I would go.
But when you fuck something up, and you're like, oh my God, please help me get out of this,
why
please.
am I always like calling for your help at this moment? So yeah, like, the aspect of, again, the higher power has been always there. The religion side and the church side, I kind of like stopped going to church because I wanted to connect directly. And that's when my meditation started. And I knew that I can connect directly with the divinity, and I don't have to go to a place to make sure that there's a connection there. And my creation and me being, that soul, that pure soul that I have, and I can connect directly. I have a piece of God within me. And that's really what, I don't have to like go to any place and really dive into that. So
Understood.
So for me, that, the faith again brought me to believe in me, that I could do and be the person that I am right now. But there's a moment where the faith disappears. Not because I don't believe anymore. It's just because I know that I'm already part of God. Right?
Yeah.
So, like when you talk to a scientist, and they develop all these discoveries, everything's like shown as a scientific result, but it's not. It didn't happen because they didn't have faith. They had faith. They didn't say that they had faith, and then they showed that there was faith involved behind the experiment or behind the discovery. So for me, that the faith side is important, and it was part of my life. But at the end of the day, I think that I'm already within God, and God is within me. And and if you don't want to call it God, you want to call it a higher power. Is the important thing is just being able to connect directly with them and create whatever I have to say here
Yeah.
is just God is using me as an instrument pretty much.
Huh.
So yeah, I think that there's no right or wrong in this life. Like if people are doing something wrong, it's not wrong or right. And whenever you get to that point and you see people, you don't get into like all these arguments and you don't get into these fights with people, right? And that's how I see business as well, right? If somebody's trying to screw you in business, they either have to learn something or you have to learn something. But you're not gonna live suing people left and right. Just learning something. Yeah, there is a system, and it's there for a reason, and you're gonna use it. And I've used lawyers in the past, and I've used attorneys, and we've gotten into like big situations in the private aviation side. But what I'm saying is that, having that connection and seeing life from that perspective will avoid a lot of those speed bumps on your way to wherever you want to go.
Hmm. It's pretty deep.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's how I see life, and that's how sometimes I can, and again I can.
Has your fiance helped you
My fiance has
in
been
in
a
in?
blessing, bro.
Okay.
She's been, wow, man. She's been,
Has she been the help you needed probably to see the way you see things now?
yeah, definitely. Like she has helped me a lot. Huge, like big time, bro. Like if you see her, like you're gonna meet her one day, and Ali has been, wow, man. She's been everything for me right now. Not only the mom of my baby, but like my soulmate, my everything.
Has your
She's
back in business? Because as far as like for us, man, we, it's very stressful.
she
It's
de-
very stressful, and then you come home, you want to come to home to a peaceful home.
bro, like
You know,
she's at, like I said, she's my everything.
that's awesome, man.
She, like, I can't complain about her. Like obviously I can. Her Amazon account is like crazy, but that's the only thing I complain about. But but
Always getting packages at home.
yeah, it's crazy. But she's been supportive in all ways, like 360, bro. She helps a lot with the company. Like she's also a life coach. So she does more of like going deep into, because we believe that the train, yeah, we can train in marketing, we can train in sales, we can train in in everything about the company, but the most important thing is training yourself. And because if you're okay, we care a lot about the people in the company, and we do like rigorous training on yourself.
I know exactly where you're going.
If
It
and
makes total sense. What you're saying, it makes total sense.
right,
Because you're gonna have you want to create this culture of, if the people are feeling good about themselves, they're gonna come to work feeling great, and they're gonna give it their all.
we were talking about leadership, and there's different like three types of different leaderships that there is. Like the inspirational one, then the one that is like a capataz. I don't know if how How do you say that?
Explain it. Explain it. Explain it.
Capataz. Como capataz.
No, but explain it for the people to understand a little bit too, bro.
Capataz is like that. That I don't even know how to explain it. Capataz is like one of those guys that would use the whip to like with the slaves,
Okay.
and then I forgot the other one. But anyway, she got us to like analyze ourselves, analyze the leadership that you see in different people, right? And we're talking all about leadership, like who do you imagine as a leader, and like we're always talking about leadership, and for me, let's say, Bet David, he's a great leader, right? But then she turned around and she said, okay, so who is your like who are like if you were your own leader, which one would you be? And we were all like, fuck, like we're all capatazes. We're all like with whips and like shit and like, pushing ourselves to the limit all the time. Like, so it was realizing how we don't really like we all think and we see leaders on the outside, but we don't see ourselves as leaders. And that's the most important thing to value is how are we leaders with ourselves and who do we want to be with ourselves? How can we treat ourselves as a leader? And if we want to be inspirational, then what do we have to do to be that leader with ourselves, which is the most important person?
But the thing
in
is
life.
that I think that we know all our flaws. We were just talking about this a little while ago. I was just mentioning it to him. We have flaws and we know our flaws, and most people that know us knows our flaws. And when you try to lead or when you try to, achieve certain things, that you start to second guess yourself, in the sense that am I really living what I'm preaching? Even though you're working on yourself, I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Like,
No, no.
you know what you're good at, where you fall short, and you want to help other people because you know what to you know exactly what to say or what they should do, but you're not really doing it.
I know exactly what you mean.
For
I
yourself.
know exactly what you mean. And that's the difference between service and help. Like you service somebody, that you service the people, and this is not about service in business. This is about the service and help in life. There's this universal laws that, you help somebody that needs it, right? And you serve people that you want to serve. But if you're, let's say, if you get involved in a process of somebody that you're like you think they need it, you think they need something. For example, I don't know, my sister, or somebody in the streets that I want to get involved in their life, and I want to help them without them asking for help, and I want to just help them because I think, oh my God, like they need help because they're probably, you know, driving a crappy car. I'm getting involved in their learning experience of life. And that's when that's when God comes down and tells you, okay, so you're getting involved in this process of this person and this life experience of this person, and they're about to like learn. Let's say if you think you're gonna throw money to somebody and fix their problems,
No, it's not gonna happen.
it's not gonna happen. They have to be willing to put the work in. So if you come in and throw money, then the universal law is gonna just cut your income because you're getting involved in somebody's life that you weren't called. And universal laws work like that.
Huh.
Sufferment. Like if you're suffering for something, like what are you thinking? Like if you want to know like how to abolish sufferment in life. How can you like you think that is there's a big learning curve behind it, and there's not. You just have to work on yourself and accept whatever you're not accepting and renounce to your ego. And recently I've gotten a more
But it's scary, dude.
scary to
It's scary. You don't think it's scared to you know it's not a scary situation to kind of like really
talk about
face no to
Your-
face to
talk to your
face
ego.
yeah to face your own things, you know, and really make the change. It is kind of scary.
It's uncomfortable, scary as fuck. But I think that's the solution of everything to like just to keep growing, because your energy goes into that motion of building that ego, and I'm the bigger person, or I'm the guy who's building this company, and for like I said, and it comes down to like Vida jets or the private jets, and that was my ego talking back in the day. When I built a company, it was like private jets, luxury,
All the
I
materialistic
I
stuff.
all material, yeah, all like material.
Did you get humbled in the process, and that's what made you change?
Mm, I'm still a little bit stuck up. No, I'm just kidding. But I got humbled. Yeah, of course. Life gets you humbled. I thought I was humbled, but I clearly wasn't. And then I'm like 25 years old, building a private jet company, selling millions of dollars. I wasn't humble at all.
Correct. Yeah.
Life got me humble, and I got myself humbled as well. But I'm very
Out of the decisions that you made,
out of the work that I've done through me.
okay.
But then I'm proud of, and sometimes just people will call me that I'm not humble because I'm bragging about my success, as far as, and I'm not here to tell you, oh, I'm successful and this and that. Again, the results talk by themselves. But the humble part is, it gets to a point where some people will tell you you're not humble. Some people will like actually see you as a successful, inspirational person. And I think that you're never going to get to wherever you want to get to people as long as you know who you are. And in that process of being humble, you're being stuck up to some part of the crowd, and then some other. I've had great stories about people that I've inspired, and some people that they meet me and they tell me, I thought you were a jerk, bro. Like,
Wow.
so so I think that the work, and again, the work is in you. If you want to have a successful business, don't work on the business. Work on yourself.
I think we're gonna have to wrap it up with that right there, man, because that pretty much sums it up.
Yeah.
I have, but you're constantly working on yourself, though.
Yeah, like, but deep, man, deep. I'm not like I'm always like working out and stuff, but like
I'm
actually,
talking about like deep in your soul, kind of thing.
like bro, like know yourself, like know exactly what ticks you, like what moves you. Like if you're at a room and you walk in the room and you see somebody or something that you don't like go back, write it down. Make sure you know exactly what's getting you out of comfort, what's making you not sleep at night, what's making you sleep at night. And I'm not talking about sleep protocols about like magnesium, and I do all that shit. But what is really going behind the doors? And the doors, I mean, like what's going, behind everything. What's making you suffer? What's making you uncomfortable with life? What are you constantly thinking about? And that thing that you're constantly thinking about is what you're not accepting in life, and that's what you have to work on. And it's not, again, it's not about the business. It's not about my revenue, my leads, my conversion rate. It's not about that. Because that's, yeah, you have to, there's a point where everything like flows, but everything goes through you, and you have to be.
Because
and
you could have,
you
because
as
you
a-
could. I'm sorry, I cut you off, Camilo.
no, no,
You
no.
could have everything, but if you're not happy with yourself, then
I was very happy with the company, but I wasn't happy with myself.
I've been there.
And we were making millions, and we're
You
not.
still feel empty.
Yeah.
I've been there.
So
And you think that success is gonna fill that void, but it doesn't.
it doesn't.
It doesn't.
So again, it comes in, and then the work that you do with your employees is critical, because they have to be like, we connect, we meditate before every single meeting. We go into a meeting and we stop everything, and everybody gets into a meditation, and then we continue. Like that's what we do, and everybody's aligned, and the culture is all in place for them to understand that we have to connect. And when I say connect, is get into this creative mode. If it's marketing, if it's operation, if it's whatever. And then the work that we do on a separate basis with everybody is all about the well-being of yourself, and not about good habits or any of that. It's just knowing yourself and treating yourself as a good leader, and there's a lot of work behind it.
Yeah. Well, Camilo, we're gonna have to wrap this up,
Yeah,
man. We the podcast went everywhere, and it was good.
Yeah, for sure,
It
man.
was good. I think I needed to hear that message.
Cool, man.
I think I needed to hear that message, man. It was definitely food for thought.
I'm glad, man. I'm glad. And really, it's been what I've been doing for this past few years. It's just, sometimes you believe that the success is all about, on the balance sheet, and it's the balance that you do with yourself. Balance sheet is there. It's just a result. But if you're aligned with, if something's bothering you, it's like you gotta check on that. If somebody is not letting you sleep, I lost one of my biggest accounts last year, and dude, it took me. I've never not sleep for a night. Like, I've never not. This fucking client got me off. Like, I didn't sleep for that night, and it was all about what wasn't I accepting about what was happening. So it's another story. We can talk about it with a cigar or something.
Of course.
I'll tell you about it off cameras, because I can't
Yeah,
disclose
no,
the
it's
client.
fine. It's all, it's all good.
But
Just want to tell you thank you for the time, man.
good
I'm
stuff, Stan.
definitely leaving out of here with something to think about.
I'm glad, bro.
I appreciate it, Camilo.
Thank you for
Thank
your
you, man.
time, brother.